Hi, I'm Bob Kurtz, Golf's Iron Man. Welcome. I have a question for you. And the question is this: what about the takeaway on the golf swing? Do you worry about it? Do you ask yourself, am I doing it right? Should I take it back absolutely square, keep the club face square all the way back? Or maybe I take it 45 degrees inside and come back inside that 45 degrees. Should I push it back with my left hand? I will show you how to take the club face away from the ball and the swing. Are you ready? Ta-da! That was a beautiful shot. Let's do it again. This time we can't recreate that takeaway or that swing because everyone was different, but they're weird, aren't they? They're strange. They're peculiar, but there's a lesson here that I'm going to show you. That was one beautiful tee shot. So here's the lesson that we're going to learn. It is, yes, vitally important that this club face of the driver be absolutely square, not on takeaway, at impact. That's the whole purpose of the golf swing. Some people wonder can I keep it straight at the top, parallel pointing at the target. They say cross. Some people cross the line. Larry Nelson did a lot, where he took it back like this, and the shaft was actually pointing to the right of the target, a good deal right of the target. So what are we trying to learn here? I want to tell you what the most important thing is. It isn't the takeaway or even the finish. Look at Arnold Palmer's finish. It is 24 by 24. 24 by 24. 24 inches in front of the ball, 24 inches after the ball. That's all that really matters. So on your swing, as you take it back, you come into the ball and the club face begins to be square. You keep it square as long as possible. So you start squaring it up 24 inches ahead and try to keep it square 24 inches past. If you do that, you're going to have nothing but straight shots. You can use the palm of your right hand. You can use the back of your left hand. The back of your left hand and the face of the driver, they're identical. And so wherever the back of the left hand goes, there will the driver go, see? And the same thing with the palm of your right hand. The palm of your right hand goes on here, and it is the same as the face of the driver. So where the right hand palm goes, that's where the driver goes. That's what's important. So if you keep those square from here to here, you're going to have great shots. So let's hit one. Square to square, 24 by 24. I mentioned Larry Nelson just a moment ago. Larry Nelson, one of the great stories of all time in golf, and maybe one of the most neglected, super great Hall of Fame players, winner of multiple major championships, including a glorious victory that nobody remembers at Oakmont in 1983. I remember because I was there. Larry was in the military, never picked up a golf club, gets out of the military, gets a job in Marietta, Georgia, outside Atlanta. I think it was with Boeing. There was a driving range across the street, across the highway from Boeing, and he decided, well, he'd go over there and learn how to hit a few balls. Within 1 year, get this, within 1 year, Larry Nelson qualified, Monday qualifying, went through and qualified for the Florida Open, and then went to Q school and qualified for the PGA Tour. He had never played 54 holes in his life in a row, much less 72 holes back to back to back to back. But he did it, won his tour card, won all those majors. Let's talk more about Larry Nelson. Why do I do all this? The marathons, the world records, the YouTube channel. It's about the children. I have a children's charity, a 501c3. You can help. Help the Ironman, help the children. Go to the titles below and click more. Thank you. So how did he do this? How did Larry Nelson become a tour player in no time at all? Well, one, he was an excellent athlete. He'd been a baseball player. Number two, though, Larry Nelson was extremely intelligent. He got Jack Nicklaus's Golf My Way book and was set it down there while he was hitting, and he thought actually he was swinging like Nicklaus when he wasn't. You know, Nicklaus took the club up really high and used his tremendous, powerful thighs to drive the ball. Larry Nelson used his suppleness, his eye-hand coordination, and yes, the shaft of Larry Nelson's driver and most of his clubs did cross the line. In other words, the shaft was never pointing straight at the target. It was always pointing a little right at the target. But he had such great timing, and like I said, he was square to square in those 24 inches before and after, and was able to just be such an excellent ball striker that he was regarded as the best driver of the golf ball on the PGA Tour, maybe the best iron player. He once said, people asked him because he wasn't terribly long, he was one of the shorter hitters, does it bother you when you have to hit a 4-wood to the green when somebody else is hitting a 6-iron? He says, no. And he's very modest. Not if I hit the 4-wood closer. And he was exactly right. That's what Larry Nelson most often did. But I want to tell you about that '83 United States Open at Oakmont in Pennsylvania, just outside Pittsburgh. Arnold Palmer was one of his last hurrahs. He lived in Latrobe, just short distance away. He took a helicopter every day. That helicopter would land, everybody watched and wave it, hi, Arnie. Tom Watson, Seve Ballesteros, Calvin Peete were all competing in this Open. Watson had just won it the year before with that great chip in. Seve was on a roll, and Calvin Peete was the big story. Larry Nelson was the quiet man. Came the last day, and suddenly there was a rainstorm with 5 guys tied for the lead. ABC was televising at that time, and they tried to get the round finished, but they couldn't. They had to cancel it, not to cancel the final round, but postpone the finish until Monday morning with 5 guys tied for the lead. What happened? Well, bright and early the next morning, they had to finish the last 5 holes because everybody thought there would be a playoff, and ABC was ready to carry that playoff in the afternoon. As it happened, on the 17th hole, Larry Nelson makes one of the great putts of all time, about 70 feet. I happened to be there. There were only 2 people there besides the caddies and the scorer, and that was me and Tom McCollister, who was a writer for the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. I was in Atlanta at CNN at the time, and I knew McCollister, so we strolled down there to see Nelson come in. He makes that putt. He gets a 1-stroke lead. He holds that 1-stroke lead. The tournament is over in about 45 minutes. Everybody is leaving. And I did the interview with Nelson. I did the interview with Watson. I give it to the photographer. He gets on. Back in those days, there was no satellites. This was 1983. So at CNN, I had to put the video on a plane with the photographer, and he flies with it to Atlanta. They pick it up and put it on the air, and the story on the air. There are the interviews. But there's one more thing that happened that day that I will always treasure, and it had to do with a great PGA professional named Bob Ford. Bob Ford, what a great professional. He actually played in that Open at Oakmont in 1983. He finished 26th, but you may know him as one of the class professionals of all time. He was the professional at Oakmont, one of the great courses in the world, and Seminole in Juneau, Florida at the same time. Summer at Oakmont, winter at Seminole. I said he played in the tournament, but he had finished Sunday, so he wasn't there to play to finish up his round on Monday morning. He's actually in the merchandise tent, and he's finishing it up with the guys. I wrapped up my interviews, and I went in to pick up a couple of mementos for my daughters. And Bob Ford said, "Bob, what you doing?" And I said, "Well, just buying a couple things." He said, No. "What are you doing this afternoon?" I go, "I got nothing planned." He goes, you got your clubs with you? I said, of course I got my clubs with me. He says, you want to go out and play? Play Oakmont on Monday when it was set up for the United States Open playoff. I said, of course. He says, well, let's play it about an hour. We got 2 Oakmont caddies. We went out and played. It was the most joyous day that I can remember. I shot 42 on the front. I've never played faster greens than Oakmont. And the caddy was so good, just listen to what he said. And I shot 35 on the back, so I shot a 77 at Oakmont. Felt pretty proud of myself. Wouldn't have made the cut or anything like that. But my goodness, playing the course with those famed church pews. You remember those? Oakmont, United States Open, 1983. Larry Nelson. I'll never forget it. And don't you forget 24 by 24. Square to square. 24 inches back, 24 inches through. So that you can have, in terms of hitting the ball, and be absolutely amazing.